we get another chair?
No, sorry. No.
Well, they're all nice things. Well, Netflix is also doing a live action online stuff. So I'm hoping that's going to work out.
Hey, they got the people who did the curve, so.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard to ask a question though, but.
Well, now I just feel rude. I'm the only one that's sitting down. Wow.
Thank you.
You're fine.
So much.
You sit in the middle. You sit in the middle also right here.
Musical chairs.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Are you guys awake? I'm not.
I'm not, that's why I have this.
Well, to be fair, Kira is a, what is it? Killer coffee queen.
Yes.
I totally do. So, you guys are here for voice acting in video games, right? I love it. Well, why don't we go down the line and introduce ourselves? Why don't we start with the lovely lady on the end there?
Hi, my name is Matilda, and I'm the voice of Brigitte in Overwatch.
Hi everybody, I'm McCarley, and for video games, I am the voice of 9S in Nier Automata. I'm Alm in Fire Emblem Echoes, and I am Hyde in Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle under 19
I'm Kira Buckland. I play 2B in Nier Automata. I play Falke in Street Fighter, Eirika and Katarina in Fire Emblem Heroes, Trucy in Ace Attorney, Edna in Tales of Zestiria, Hiyoko Saionji in Danganronpa 2, Kirumi in Danganronpa 3, and a lot of others.
I wasn't supposed to be here, but I invited myself because, I'm Niosi. I was, thanks. I was Dezel in Tales of Zestiria. I was Demon Lord of Void Dark in Disgaea 5, Alliance of Vengeance. Recently, Therion in Octopath Traveler. Thanks. Yeah, it's a Pokemon. You know what? I'm allowed to talk about it. Is anybody filming? Are we filming? Whatever. I'm allowed to talk about it, but I was going to wait until the actual game is out. But I'm voicing the main character in the new Don't Knock game, Twin Mirror. Sam Higgs, which I'm super happy about. And lots of mobile games and lots of other stuff, but those are the ones you might have heard of, so yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. We were literally leaving the green room and Chris was like, Lauren, don't leave me! I was like, then come in. Hi guys, I'm Lauren Landa. I was the voice of Karin Kanzuki in Street Fighter 5. Leia Rolando in Tales of Exilion 2, female Robin in Fire Emblem and in Super Smash Brothers. Time to tip the scales! Kasumi in Dead or Alive 5 and Ninja Gaiden. Lychee Failing in Blaze Blue. God, there's so many games. There's just way too many, but I'm sure you guys already know a couple. Oh, Squiggly and Skullgirls, that's right. And yeah, so thanks for coming, guys. So this is a Q&A, and as you can see, our awesome friend here has set up a microphone right in the middle of the rows. So if you guys have a question, stand on up, and if you have the courage, go on and line up right behind that mic and ask us your lovely question.
And if none of you have questions, we'll all just sit here in silence.
And stare. This guy's like, well, when you put it that way.
So what's the difference between voice acting in like an anime and voice acting for a video game?
Who wants to take this one?
I'll start.
Okay.
So in anime, we're dubbing to pre-existing footage. So in my opinion, we have more information to work with, and I find it a little bit easier with video games. Often we get little to nothing to work with until we get into the studio, and there's also significantly more to do. Video games can take sometimes hours, especially if you're a main character in the game, hours upon hours upon hours, just so many prompts, there's battle stuff, there's cutscenes, all these different things, and most often, you are not getting anything to work with, you don't get a script ahead of time, you are at the whims of the director and the clients if they're there to kind of guide you through the story. It's a lot to do. And also there's a lot of screaming usually involved in video games, so they can be very taxing on the voice, much like the way that I sound right now, because I've been talking too much. So.
Yeah, I went to a soccer game on the 11th, so I know exactly how you feel.
It's like that, except for like hours in a row.
I think it depends on the genre too. Something like a JRPG or a mobile game doesn't usually tend to have as much screaming as, you know, if you're doing like a war game or something sort of, yeah, that sort of thing. I also find that the timing restrictions, I love doing both anime and games, but I find doing games, we have a little bit more freedom overall. Sometimes in games you do have timing restrictions, but most of the time it's not matching picture like anime unless you're doing a cutscene where the character's mouths move.
Yeah. Most of the time for video games, if there's a timing issue, it's make sure that your line doesn't take longer than 5 seconds or whatever it is, as opposed to trying to match mouth movements and stuff. Yeah, I feel like video games are creatively a little bit more. There's more freedom because there are not as many restrictions on what you're doing. You've done some Swedish dubs and stuff, right?
Yeah, I've only done Swedish dub, so
Tell us those, please.
I haven't done any animes, but I think the main difference is you're very much like the time restriction and stuff, like actually having to mimic someone else and like try to make it match. I don't know, in anime, if you think about the mouth movements a lot. Yeah, okay, well, so focusing on that as well is like so hard. So I think with video games, it's a lot more. I think it's both easier and more difficult, but I think it's more easier than it is more difficult.
It's different. They're different worlds.
Different challenges, I think, between the two.
Thank you for your question. Hello. Hi. You and Kira look like you guys could be twins. Twinsies.
Well, technically that's Kyle's character.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, there you go.
What's your name?
Adrian?
Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
What's your... Get out. What's your question?
I was just wondering if there's like any particular role that absolutely like destroyed your voice with all the screaming.
Yes. Is anybody familiar with Drakengard 3? So I played the character 1 in Drakengard 3, and 1 was kind of the big boss before the final boss, and she is pretty quiet throughout the majority of the game. And then I don't know what happens because I still haven't played it, so I don't really know the context, but she just goes nuts and starts screaming really loud, sometimes without any reason. And that was fun, but it was pretty hard on my voice. I lost my voice in that session. So
I'm lucky I haven't had too many like really big screamo ones, but there was one I worked on recently. A few of us were in this game called Black Desert, I think it was called, and it had a lot of like giants and orcs and stuff. And sometimes when you do games like that, they end up giving you like 5 to 10 different characters sometimes because they're like kind of smallish roles and stuff. So you have to fill out a lot of characters, and some of those, like I don't usually do the low guys, but I do these big British orc guys. And doing that for like 15 minutes really hurts. Because any volume you have to put into that, it's like, ow. So, especially because my voice is not very low naturally.
I did games called God Eater 1 and 2, and I played like the custom characters that the player can, choose their voice, choose how they look, and all that kind of stuff. But because my character, it's like a custom player character, so rather than story stuff, it's pretty much all battle call-outs. So, normally when we have a game session where it's like, we have story stuff, and then we have like yelling or any, attacks, that kind of stuff, we can save it till towards the end so that we don't lose our voice. But if your entire thing is yelling, then there's nothing to save, you just have to go through it and, try to take care of yourself. And granted, everyone was very lovely. The director took wonderful care of us and made sure, you need a break, everything okay, but when everything's yelling, especially if it's kind of like a tough character, it's really easy to just be like, okay, I'm dead.
I've found that with battle callouts and stuff, like the grenade, get down! You have to do a whole lot of that kind of stuff for video games. And I found that like there's a technique you can use that sounds like you're screaming, but you're really not hurting you're not stressing your vocal cords too much. But with like 9S for Nier, he does a lot of like primal rage, emotional stuff towards the end of the game.
But you were fantastic at that.
Thank you, but that definitely put a strain on my vocal cords because you can't fake that, and that that took me out of commission for a couple of days.
It sounded amazing though.
Thank you. And the other example I have is I've done a lot of audiobooks in my career, and early on in my audiobook career, I was starting a series. I think it was the first book of the series, and there was a character who didn't speak a whole lot, and I thought it would be cool to give him a Dr. Claw impression for his voice. And then in book 2, he became a major character who spoke a lot, and that was not great.
I mean, I've only done the one game, but for me, we had late night sessions because we needed to have Blizzard from LA over, like on Skype or something while we recorded. So for me, every like the battle, like the escort the payload and stuff like that, it's just it really strains your voice because it's not natural in any way to scream like that. Like you're not used to doing it, and especially not like. You start out with 3 takes and then maybe you need to redo it, so you do 3 more, and it's just like, you get so tired at the end of the day. And since I did my recordings at like 6 p.m., I already had like a full day of work, so I mean, just every session at the end I was just like, thank you guys, it was really nice. I'll talk to you guys soon. So, I mean, every role I think is pretty straining, unless it's your natural voice. And that can also be streaming.
There's a story I heard also from our friend Ben Diskin, who does a lot of video games and stuff. He did the Mad Max Fury Road video game, and he got to be some of the war boys with like guys with like all the white makeup and stuff. And that was just like an hour of just like the most guttural screaming he's ever done in his life. And I think he was out for like a week after that game. And I was like, eesh. It's hard.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I guess I'll have to project a little bit so everyone can hear me. Specifically for Miss Brigitte over here, Matilda.
Brigitte.
Or should I say Matilda. How much fun did you have working on Overwatch? That would be my biggest question.
I mean, it was a dream come true, honestly. I'm still kind of fangirling over my own job because I think it's so cool. Like, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are like, oh, you're probably tired talking about this. I'm like, yeah, no, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. I don't know. I am fine with telling you everything. So recording, it was just really awesome talking to Andrea, who's the director, and talking to Michael, who's the lead writer, and being able to work with these amazing people that have created a world that I loved before. Yeah, I played the game before I was in it, which is also so weird. So that I think that elevated the whole experience. Like we just had so much fun, and I remember the first few sessions I was just like so giggly. I'm still giggly, like a lot, and sometimes I feel kind of unprofessional. But I just think it's so cool, and we have a lot of fun, especially since it's like night sessions and they have morning sessions. So we're both parties are kind of tired, so we have a lot of laughs. So, I mean, it's indescribable. It's so much fun. I still think it's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
All right, thank you. By the way, you are my favorite character.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question for Matilda really quick. Who's your main in Overwatch?
I mean Moira. Yeah!
Testing 1, 2, 3.
What was that?
Okay, I apologize if this is something you get asked at like every convention, but every convention I ask, like every person I ask, I get a different answer. But how would you suggest one get into voice acting, specifically for video games?
Okay, so here's the thing. There is no specific way to get in for one specific part, either video games, anime, radio, whatever. It's all part of the similar industry, okay? So my first suggestion would be you have to get somehow involved in theater. Theater, acting courses, acting workshops, because primarily we are actors. We are actors who happen to do voiceover for a living. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as an actor, you have a passion for acting, and some of us love voice acting maybe more than other areas of acting. But a lot of people seem to misconstrue that, oh, we're voice actors and we can't do anything else, or we only do voice acting. Now, if we choose to do voice acting, that's totally up to us, of course. But people forget that the main, the primary word in voice acting is acting. So if you want to get into video games specifically, you got to get into the whole voiceover part, you know what I mean? But definitely enroll yourself in theater classes, because theater tends to train you for almost everything, essentially. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, actually, the guy who does the voice of Hammond in Overwatch, the little hamster, he has a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
Yeah, Robbie Damon told me about that in another convention.
And you can go in there, and it has a lot of tips and tricks on how to pursue that career. But I would really, really second like theater and stuff like that, and then also working on your voice, like exploring all parts of this, because there's a lot more to it than most people know. So just play with your voice and remember to record your voice, and be sure to have like a voice wheel, what do you call it, voice demo, and stuff like that on hand, so people can hear your beautiful voice.
Adding to the bit about iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, like that's like a litmus test, because I think if you read every word of that and you still want to be a voice actor, that shows that you have enough dedication to want to pursue it, because to be bluntly honest, it's hard. Like actually getting to a point where you are making a living doing any acting, not even just voiceover, takes a long time and is really hard. There's very few cases where like somebody just shows up and they're like amazingly naturally talented and they become a star or whatever. That's very rare. You have to work really, really super hard. Echoing all this stuff, yeah, and like a lot of people come in from radio, stand-up comedy, improv. I'm not even a theater guy. I was an animator first and foremost, and I was just very, very studious. Yeah, I think the most absolute important thing is being a good actor, like having good performance instincts, making choices on the copy. There's so many ways. The classes are extremely important. There's also a lot of ways that you can practice at home. I think taking books, like doing what Kyle has to do with audiobooks kind of thing, where like you can like read an entire book and like discover new character voices, or even if you want to do a nerdy thing, find an old video game with no voiceover in it and like voice all the characters and like discover maybe some new, ideas you have for things you can develop. And then when you eventually get to the point of making your first reel, you can put some of that stuff on there. I did that for mine, for instance. But above all else, like you have to have the instincts so that when, say, you get your first opportunity to audition for a video game, and you have to be ready for it to be as good as you can possibly have it, because sometimes you don't get more than one chance. Sometimes. So.
I know this is a long answer, so I'm sorry. I definitely, third, fourth, fifth, whatever it is, everything everyone else said about being an actor is the most important thing, because a lot of people, I think, when they want to be a voice actor, say, well, I can do a lot of voices, or I can sound like all these characters that already have existing voices. But what's going to get you in the room or get you cast is how you can bring that character to life, especially because most characters aren't one-dimensional. They go through a lot of emotional changes. You have to be able to emote across like a wide range while still staying in character, staying in voice, all that kind of stuff. You can also do a lot of stuff from home to practice, especially if you don't live where the work is yet. I run a website, shameless plug, sorry, called Voice Acting Club. It's voiceactingclub.com. I've also got a big link and write up on all the, kind of things like that you need to think about. And, there's a lot of indie game developers now who they maybe have smaller budgets and they're like, hey, we want to cast, people who can do it from home, that sort of thing. And that's a great way for aspiring actors to get started as well, is by practicing online, recording your voice at home, and auditioning for, independent content creators, animators, all that kind of stuff.
the other thing I'm going to add, and this might be a little blunt, but we all like, you know, when we came into this industry, we were all like, oh, you know, I want to be a voice actor because I like cartoons or I like anime or whatever, you know. We all are fans of something, you know. But when you say to me, specifically for video games, to me that doesn't say, oh, he has a passion for video games. To me personally, that says you're limiting yourself to just video games. Does that make sense?
Well, the reason I asked that was because the title of this panel is video game voice acting.
Oh, well, that makes sense. No, but in all seriousness, though, whenever I do get this question, it's the same answer. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what, this is like, the reason why it's called video game and voice acting is to talk about the technique in recording for video games, but it's also to talk about our characters in the video games. But the process of getting into the industry is no different. Does that make sense? But if you are interested in voice acting, I would highly recommend pretty much what everyone has already said, and just don't limit yourself. So
I'll just piggyback off of everybody else. It's a lowercase voice, uppercase acting. It's acting first and foremost, for sure. I stole that from somebody else. Especially these days, like, natural voices are the trend. Like, a lot of us are like, you know, we get into this, we start off and we like, oh, I can do a whole lot of different voices. I can do accents and character-y sounding stuff, cartoony sounding stuff. Even cartoons these days are natural sounding voices on everything. So it's like, it's just all about the performance, about bringing life to the character, bringing truth to the words that are written on the page. It's an investment of time and money getting into this industry. But yeah, you've got to be able to pay that demo producer to put together your demo reel. You've got to be able to pay for all the classes. You've got to be able to take all the time to take all those classes, and it's a lot of work getting into it. But if it's something that you want to do, you just got to keep plugging away and don't give up.
Thank you.
Good luck. What was the name of that website again?
iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
And then Kira's.
Mine is voiceactingclub.com.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, you guys. How you doing?
Are you supposed to be the Joker right now?
Oh, yes.
You look way better than Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Sorry.
I appreciate it.
That's
Thank
a
you guys.
You're welcome.
So he totally took my question. But I'm really happy that you guys gave really honest feedback, and it was extremely helpful. And I kind of thought about, like, I guess, how I can add on to it, maybe, or change it. But one thing I guess I was wondering is, if you are interested in voice acting and you've already done theater and whatnot, I guess, like, would video games, since it's, I guess there's more freedom and not as many like limits, would video games be like easier to kind of get into, or audiobooks even? I love audiobooks. But and how to take care of your voice? I guess maybe tips to take care of it.
As far as the opportunities, there are so many video game projects now, like because I mean, like, in the last decade, I mean, like, voiceover in video games has become such a huge thing overall. And I mean, like, Kira was talking about, like, there's indie games, there's like stuff on Kickstarter that become games on consoles, and then, like, you know, there's cell phone games, which sometimes can be easier for some of the new up-and-comers to break into. Then you have, like, JRPGs and things like that, which is a lot of work, a little bit tougher to get into. And then you have, like, the big budget, like, AAA ones. And then now also there's motion capture stuff too, which often goes hand in hand with the AAA things. There's so many different ones. So in some ways there are easier ways to get into some video games just because of the sheer amount of them. But it's also, this is the other thing too, we didn't talk about this in the previous answer, but a lot of it also comes down to when you get to a point where you've got the skill set, then it also comes down to who you know. I would say probably a good majority of us had somebody in the industry that saw, you know, potential in us or talent in us and went to bat for us, like, hey, I'm going to recommend you to this studio that works on these projects or whatever. And then, we stepped up to plate, had an audition for something, got it, and then got in from there. And then, then once you're in, then and you're on a circuit, then people hear about you. You might get shopped around to other places, and then hopefully, unless you're a jerk, and then they're like, oh, I don't want to work with that person. Which, thankfully, most people in our business are not jerks, which is nice.
That's over time, though. I want to stress
Yeah,
that it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a matter of like you get in with one place and that's your big break and you work for them. We're all freelancers, we're all like, you can book the lead in a huge game, and then what are you going to do after that? Like, you have to find other work.
The thing that I will, sorry, Kyle. The thing that I would stress to anyone interested in getting into voice acting, we could give you all the advice and experience that we have. If you're interested, everyone has their own path to get to where we are, to get into having a voiceover career. There's no cookie cutter pathway, there's no plan, we can only tell you the general advice of, be sure you have the talent to do so. It sounds harsh, but it's true. Make sure you, are practicing your performance skills. Hopefully you can get a demo done, all of that. But I know a lot of people that ask that question want a direct guideline into what we do, and we can only give you what we know. But every single one of us, even if there are some similarities, everyone has their own different path of getting to where we are. And I can't stress that enough. So Kyle, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
1,000 different ideas popped into my head throughout the course of it. We could be here for a day and a half just talking about how to break into voice acting. Networking is really important, and they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's a little of both, but the who you know is definitely a factor, and if you don't know anybody, you have to find ways to get to know those people, which we've all done, because none of us started out. Well, I guess your parents were in the voiceover industry, but still, you still have to. It's the only industry where you have to keep proving that you can do what you do for a living. We're constantly interviewing for the next job. And
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, on a general note, and this isn't even just about voiceover, right? I would say this is in life, something that maybe most people won't tell you. In my opinion, to get any job, to pursue any dream that you want, I think the recipe to success are being two things. Getting good at the thing that you want to do, and sometimes this is even more important in some senses, is being a cool person. What I mean by that is, no, legit, if you're a cool person,
You're a nerd,
and that's true. So don't follow my example. No, but I'm being sincere when I say this. If you're a cool person and people want to be around you and because you're gonna have to spend a long time with directors and engineers and stuff if you actually do get in, you in a general sense. So if you're a cool person, they'll be like, I like so and so. I want to work with them again, and then that gives you longevity in the business. And actually even, and this is with no offense to anybody in particular, but sometimes even I've noticed if you're a cool person and you're not amazing of an actor, sometimes even that works out in your favor too.
And it goes the other way. If you're a nightmare to work with, it doesn't matter if you're the best actor in the world. Yeah. You're not going to get a lot of work.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I want to be a voiceactor.com has a whole bunch of ideas on where to find work and stuff. So
Can I add one more quick thing?
That. Yeah.
Especially for video game work, a lot of it is in the Los Angeles market. I don't suggest moving before you're ready because it's very expensive to live in that market, but in terms of long-term goals and plans, keep in mind that if you want to do this stuff as your main career, especially for character work, you will need to live in a place like LA, or if you want to do a lot of anime stuff, a place like LA or Texas. With the exception of Matilda, who has kind of a cool, unique situation, we're all in the LA market.
Yeah, I often say in interviews I just stumbled upon this job, but I have been working as a voice actor for 15 years, and I was lucky to get into the business, but then I've also worked hard to stay in the business, and I've had school and everything at the same time, but I still kept my job, and that eventually led me up to this thing today. The whole thing about being cool, I am fangirling during the sessions, but I'm also being professional,
which is so important.
Yeah,
so important.
So, yeah, I just wanted to say those things.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much. Hello. This guy's like,
Hi.
finally.
What's your name?
Hi, my name is Julio Heredia. My biggest question to you guys, starting out, you've all talked about your experiences with voice actors during your current careers. But like starting out, has there ever been a time where y'all had to portray a character through your voices that seemed difficult? Have you ever had a challenge?
Wait, I don't want to. Sorry.
In other words, was there ever a time where there was a character that you had to portray yourself, that you had the voice actor, that ever presumed as a challenge for you?
It was like really difficult to play like, early on in your careers, I guess.
I mean, not in a video game because I have then I mean it's difficult, but it's not a challenge really because she's very close to my voice. But then I have this other show where I do a robot, an AI, an android, and she speaks very fast, and it's like just facts, like it's taken out of a school book or something. And I think those roles are really challenging, especially when it's dubbing and you need to stick to the time frame that where the original says the lines. I think those are like a really huge challenge, especially when it's badly translated. It's all of those. Yeah.
A lot of rewriting scripts on the fly. For me, when I was in New York City originally, most of the auditions I was getting were for like young kid characters. My first gig was on Pokemon. I did a few episodes, and I was a young guy in that, and I was getting auditions for characters played by women in the Japanese versions of some anime stuff, which is insane to look back at now. But then when I moved to LA, even the first thing I did was Tales of Zestiria, and Dezel's like more low, kind of like this.
Thank you.
And I thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, like I immediately had to be so I'm in a whole new market, and now like I'm having a completely different archetype thrown at me, and I have to be ready to deliver on that. So because my first year stuff, I was doing a lot of these lower, scary kind of guys compared to like, oh hey, I'm cute and 14 and whatever, you know. So that was a challenge moving to the biggest market for voiceover in the world as far as I'm concerned. And having to be prepared for a completely different type of thing that I wasn't used to being cast in very often. So that was challenging, but I was able to pull it off somehow, I suppose. So, you know.
What comes to mind is when I have to I've never been in like Call of Duty or anything, but there have been a few games where I've had to play like military personnel. Military personnel is really difficult. My jaw got really tired after like 4 hours because it's very stiff, but it has to be called out, it has to be projected, and for 4 hours straight. So definitely like military personnel I think is difficult for me. So do we all? Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical challenges. I'd say probably the toughest stuff has been when dubbing a script that is not ready. That's probably the toughest work I've ever done.
Hopefully that answers your question.
No, not at all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, say your names when you come up. So
Ni hao.
Okay, first off, since you brought it up, you've come a long way since Brawl Talks Kerber. Awesome job.
Can I give credit where credit was due? Brawl Taunts is her thing. She made it. I just drew it for her. But thank you. I appreciate you all the same. What's your
So
question?
you back then, your animation style was just really
I
great
did
to
that
see.
crap in a weekend. Anyway, sorry. What's your question?
Okay,
What's your name? What's your name? Sorry.
My name's Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Okay, it's a bit of a...
Oh. My
She's
God.
May.
Oh, you're May. Oh, you know, I'm so glad we have you on here right now. Ni hao, hi.
It's a bit of a two-part question. It
Okay.
has something to do with like accents and dialects. Like, what let's say was like the hardest accent and dialects? Like, is it that much of a challenge? And if so, like, what's the hardest ones you've worked with? Because I've noticed like with Brigitte, like
Cajun.
Have you done Cajun? Wow.
Because I've noticed, like, with Brigitte, for example, a lot of fans and friends of mine have noticed that, like, she's supposed to be Swedish, there's no Swedish accent, and blah, 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 blah. And
Wow.
yeah, I've had a lot of friends say that, and they hear, like...
You can't win, apparently.
Apparently. And I also hear, heard like with Moira, they say like they don't have like a lot of friends say like, oh, Moira doesn't have an Irish accent. She's not Irish, and I hear a lot of that.
If they say, hold on, if they say that Brigitte doesn't have a Swedish accent, they most likely don't know what a Swedish accent sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I am Swedish, and I have a Swedish accent, so...
I'm so sorry, it's just what friends of mine
No,
do.
I have seen it, because people tweet things at me sometimes, and there was this one guy that tweeted at me, he was angry at me, because he didn't think Brigitte had a Swedish accent. I was like, what can I do, man? I'm like,
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question was like, are accents and dialects a hard thing to take over? And if so, what are the hardest ones you've ever done? You already admitted Cajun.
I mean, speaking English, we had a lot of some voice lines were really hard to record because, especially after a while in the studio, speaking another language, it's just like, especially American, it's just like, again, everything cancels out, but my L's, it's like, so I remember I was saying the line, I'll heal you up, but I'm supposed to say it, I'll heal you up, I'll heal you up, and it was just, we did take after take after take, because it's just like, sometimes my Swedish accent is a challenge.
But that's what makes it even more funny is that when the people are like, that's not a Swedish accent, it's like, can you not hear her? Like, clearly, she has this, people.
They were expecting Swedish Chef, I think, or something.
Well, we've got a buddy, this guy Mike Barker, who's from Australia and has a natural Australian accent. And we did this video game called Dust and Elysian Tale, now available on Nintendo Switch. Get it today. Thank you. You're all wonderful. Mike played this character in the game, and he used his natural accent. And all the comments were, oh god, this like fake ass Australian accent. And I'm like, you can't win. I swear to God.
Like stereotypes.
Yeah.
It's like one Google search away.
Yeah.
So kind of a funny story. It's not a video game story, but so I have a lot of friends that worked on the anime Hellsing. We all know Hellsing, right? So Jonathan Klein, who is someone we've all, I think most of us have worked with on video games. Jonathan was in a Starbucks or I don't remember, some sort of coffee shop, and there were these two guys in front of him talking about Hellsing, and they said, man, Hellsing is such a good show, but they have all those really fake British accents. And Jonathan's like, guys, the majority of those accents are real. And they're like, how do you know? He's like, because I produced the show. And they're like, oh. I love that story.
Yeah, accents are definitely a skill, and it's something that's separate from acting in general, but like, in tandem to, if it's something that you want to pursue. I don't know. I would say that if you haven't taken the time to master a given accent or dialect, you probably shouldn't attempt it, because then it's going to come off as terrible. Then, obviously, people are critical of real ones, so if you fake it.
Master the Swedish
Right.
No, obviously. Matilda, get working on that, okay? Like, come on.
But like I was saying earlier, the trend these days is natural sounding voices. They're casting Swedish actors to play characters that have Swedish accents.
People are still not.
I know. But so
Okay, we all love you, right?
But you know what, guys? I think Kyle had a point, and Matilda, I think you could probably take some pointers. Just go for the Swedish Chef next time.
Yeah.
Then people will not be stupid, and they'll think, oh, that's a definite Swedish Chef. That's exactly what everyone in Sweden sounds like.
Doing non-natural accents is really hard, and it takes a lot of work. There's a YouTube series that this guy's been doing lately. I can't remember his name. It's like the movie accents, something or other, and they're like 25 minutes long of him dissecting different actors' performances.
Watch it. It's Wired that does the video,
And it just came out a new one.
Yeah.
It was like on trending on YouTube, so watch that.
It's fascinating. Just because he'll tear everything apart. He's like, this is really good. Here's everything that's wrong with it, because he's a dialectician. He's studied all of these accents. He's like, this stuff is not easy. So yeah.
Also, by the way, a little shout out because this guy's amazing. Paul St. Peter, who is the voice of Smedius in Kingdom Hearts 2, is a master linguist, and he can he can combine any dialect, any accent, and any language. He can do he can speak Japanese with a German accent. I can post it on my ass. And he can do stuff like that for anything. I'm like, you are a god. So he's
He
amazing.
told me a story when I was doing some dialect coaching with him about how he went in for like a game session or something. They're like, oh, can you try this character with an Irish accent? He's like, sure, so what region do you want to wear? Like, and they just give him this blank stare.
Like, the reason I asked is because my husband recommended I go into voice acting. He says my maid voice is really good, but the thing is, like, with people always saying, like, well, you're white, how would you know what a Chinese accent sounds like? Well, that's why I'm a bit, that's why I asked, because
we're living in a more and more politically correct culture too.
Yes.
So it's if anytime if you're not ethnically appropriate for a particular dialect, most of the time they're not going to look at you. And if they do, it'll be after they've looked at everything that would be ethnically appropriate. But honestly, even for stuff like it's so much more and more these days. They want the real thing.
Yeah.
They want Matilda for yeah.
Okay, now I have to draw Brigitte with a kazoo and Brigitte as a Muppet. When my hand works. Thank you.
Make sure you post that.
I'll tweet it. Hi, what's your name? Any question?
Hi, I'm Brendan.
Hi,
So
Brendan.
I have
Hey,
a
Brendan.
question for all of you. It's kind of a two-part question. What is the most grueling, difficult job you've done, and why? It doesn't necessarily have to be like timeline, like constraint, or like, oh, I had to do this craziness with my voice. It's just like the most grueling thing. Like, it should just pop to memory.
Okay, so my first thought originally, but Dragon Guard wasn't grueling. I had so much fun with it. Little disclaimer here. I love what I'm working on. I actually do. Like, I legit love it. But audiobook work is very tedious and very dragged on. I still am managing to have fun with the audiobook I'm recording, but I'm sure Kyle will definitely agree with me that audiobooks can be very difficult because for me, I know that in my apartment, I can't have the AC on when I record, and it's not like boiling hot in my apartment, but we're having a bit of a heat wave right now in LA. I mean, it's cooling down a little bit now, thank God, but we're having really bad heat, so it gets really warm in my apartment really quickly. So there's that, and the fact that you're standing in one position for a long time, but that's voiceover in general, so audiobooks come to mind.
Yeah, audiobooks more and more these days are like probably 95% of that industry is now done in home studios, which is typically somebody's closet or something. But since we were talking about it earlier on ways to get into the voiceover industry, audiobooks are definitely not for everybody. If you can handle it, and if you've got the chops, there's a lot of work in the audiobook industry right now because it's exploding.
It's like voice acting boot camp.
Now that said, it will not do you it might give you some experience behind the mic and some help with some acting experience, some acting chops, but it will not do you any favors within any other niche of the industry to break into audiobook.
I was gonna just say, speaking of grueling, sometimes, like, I know I do a lot of work from home in addition to the stuff that I physically go in for, and a lot of the stuff that I do for my at-home clients, I have to edit myself, and that takes a lot of extra time, I can record, like, a long-form narration or something that maybe takes, like, an hour to record, and I'm spending 3 hours, like, editing the thing, especially if the client is, like, really particular about certain things, or they come back with a ton of retakes, and they're like, oh, there was, like, a little noise in this one, you need to do it again, or whatever, and I have, a custom-built sound booth in my home, but, just like Lauren said, it gets really, really, really hot in the summer.
You just reminded me of my story, and you're already going to know what it is. So a couple of years ago, a few friends of mine put me up with this job I won't say what the specifics, it was for a YouTube channel, it paid very well, and it was a lot of these kind of like, top 10 reasons why Tobey Maguire isn't getting work anymore, like that kind of crap. It was really cringy, but it was like, I gotta pay my bills, it pays really well, they're awesome. But, so I do not have, a lot of us have home recording studios of some kind. I did not at the time. I had a closet which sounded like crap, and I live in a loft, so it's very echoey in my house. So this client needed it to be of a very particular quality, so I have a Cintiq screen, a 24-inch computer screen, and I had to put 2 towels over my head, having my microphone like this on top of like a box set, like some DVD box set, and I'm like hunched over, holding up the towels like this, zooming out the script, this long-ass script, and I'm like holding up like this, and I'm like, Tobey Maguire, blah, 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 for like, and I would have to do like 3 or 4 of these like every week. And it got to a point where it was making me miserable. And then eventually, when I got a better like setup, like I tried to make my friend helped me make my closet into an actual recording space. The quality was worse in the eyes of the clients, and it wasn't getting any better. So eventually they were like, Chris, sorry, but unless you get a better setup, we can't work with you anymore. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Thank you for your time. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss that money, but I'm not gonna miss having to do this for an hour and then killing myself in the process. So.
I had this role in this French-Canadian cartoon called Zip Zip, I think. And I did a little, I don't know the English word for it, borscht, if anybody knows. It's like a pig, but it's a wild pig. Boar? Okay, I think it was a boar. It was a small one, really, really cute. And the voice, I had no idea about the voice. I just cast it, and they were like, it's a new show, come in. We booked a 3-hour session, and I had, so I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go to work and then I'll be back. And I came there, and the voice is like this all the time. And I kid you not, a majority, like a big majority of all the lines was like 20 seconds of just screaming, or it was just like laughing, and they were like, because they were like these animals that were dressed up as pets, so they could live in a house, but they were like wild animals, and for some reason they played all the time, so just I was out of my mind at the end of the session, and I came to do the concert, and I was just like, okay, like, let's do this, guys, and it's just like, it went awful. But yeah, I'm so sorry, can we just like look at the donkey that's in the audience, because I am about to laugh my ass off. I have to sit here and hold it in.
This guy's gonna be in BoJack season 6.
I mean, I was just like, I don't know why, I was doing this, and then I just looked to the right, and I just see that. And then you took up and you read something, and it looked like a newspaper. So, it's such a hard time holding in my laugh, I'm sorry.
So we have about 9 minutes left, guys, so I want to try and get through everybody. So if you have a question, ask us, and we're going to get through it as quickly as we can, okay? Rapid fire. Thank you so much. Hey!
So my name's Patrick, and I just wanted to say I'm kind of into the Joaquin Phoenix Joker makeup. Just putting that out there.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good piece of footage. But anyway, my question is there ever been a character you guys were playing where it really took you a long time to sort of nail down the voice? And if so, how'd you come to that conclusion? Like, what about the character brought you to it?
I think that happens for me with a lot of characters when you get just thrown into them, like the one, you know. It takes a while for you to actually like get the character because I think most of my sessions I just get thrown into something. Like it's not a show that I've done for 3 years. I have those too, but most sessions are just like, okay, there's a new show, come in, or I do like 5 different shows in one session, and I think. After a while, like it takes a while to like get the character, especially the small ones that doesn't have that many lines. You're just like, you can't really understand the story, and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. But then I think it's kind of like a moment where it's like it just hits you, and like, oh, yeah, I get this character now. It's so weird, but it's like I can't, like, it's different between the characters, but I think it happens, at least for me, a lot. Maybe I'm just not good, but it happens a lot for me.
Yeah, for Karna, the Red Lancer from Fate Apocrypha, I feel like I didn't like understand how to play that character. I was auto-cast. Sometimes it's a really quick turnaround, they don't even hold auditions, they'll just call people in for roles, and I was auto-cast as that character, and I feel like I didn't understand how to play him until like the last few episodes of the show. And I was like, and all my friends were like, no, you did great. And I was like, thank you, I tried my best, but like, I feel like until the end of the show, I was like, oh, now I know what I'm doing. Whoops, you know.
With 2B, it was a matter of finding that line with how much emotion we could actually show, especially in the earlier parts of the game.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's it.
I was gonna say, I actually kind of struggled a little bit finding Alm for Fire Emblem because I wanted to infuse him with a little bit more sarcasm and wry wit because that's just me.
I was just gonna say, that's you!
Yeah, and that's not Alm. He's very, like, he's very straightforward. I am the hero and I'm going to do what's right, and that's it. And then, like, he's never, I kept, there were lines, I can't remember what they are now, but there were lines where I wanted to poke fun at the person I was talking to, and it was not Alm's personality, and so that was a struggle at first.
Thank you so much. Hello, again.
Yeah, so my name is Andrew, and my question is, when's the, voice acting, when you've ever had a situation where you were kind of out of commission, how long did it take for you to kind of get your voice back? Because me, for that soccer game, it was USA versus Mexico. If anyone saw how that went down, it was a pretty wild game. But it's been like almost 2 weeks, and my voice is like still trash. And so, and then how are there any ways you can kind of like condition your vocal cords where you can kind of have more stamina?
Rest.
There are exercises you can do to strengthen your vocal cords to make it so that you don't go down for as long the next time. But once you're down, yeah, the only way to get back up is to stop using it. Robbie Damon was out of commission for like 3 months a year or two ago.
And he's one of the busiest working actors in the business right now, and it hit him hard. Yeah, I've had maybe like a week or two at most where I'm like, I have to just stop. But there are definitely things, even if you're not a singer, singing actually I think really helps with like increasing your vocal stamina. And like actually like warming up and cooling down singing like really helps with expanding the power of your esophagus.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that there are muscles here and that muscles can be trained. So you don't have to it's like exercising your body. You need to exercise your voice so that the next time you do something that's straining, it doesn't hurt you as much.
Be careful with vocal placement too. I think we have to be really careful. Like if you go to a concert or a game or anything, we're like, because we're not thinking about how to use our voice properly in a circumstance like that.
Breath support's really important. Breathing from low, from the diaphragm, and filling that up, and then pushing it out from there, as opposed to just straining your throat.
And rest.
If you ever see me laugh, it's at the donkey. I'm sorry.
No, she's laughing at you secretly. No. Hello.
Happy couple.
Greetings.
Hello.
Greetings, my name is Colin. I'll try to do this quickly. I love Eirika from Fire Emblem, and Brigitte is my main. What are your favorite RPG classes, races, and anything else?
Oh God, I have no.
Gino from Super Mario RPG. That's my favorite one. That's my. Does that count? I don't play World of Warcraft or any of that stuff, so that's my answer.
Not quite World of Warcraft.
Anything where I get to be super aggressive because I like attacking.
I like blood elves.
I was a gnome mage back when I played WoW. I always wanted to be in, I always liked the concept of archer characters, but I always sucked at playing them, so I never did.
I'm so sorry, I missed the question.
She was looking at the dog.
What's your favorite RPG class or race kind of
Oh
thing?
my gosh. That's a really tough question. I don't play a lot of RPGs, but when I play like pen and paper role playing games, I usually go for the character that's kind of opposite to who I am. I'm very introverted and very sassy and rude and stuff like that. So I guess
you do D&D.
I've never tried D&D, but I played Eon, Vampire the Masquerade, and and Urban Shadows is the latest one that I did. So I guess that's my answer.
You need to talk to Matt Mercer about guesting.
I know.
Guesting on Critical. I'm not even joking.
I was curious because I usually play like celestial creatures and paladins or crusaders, like Brigitte in a way, are tanky characters. So.
I would be a tiny.
I like the tiny creatures.
I like yeah.
When my friend made me play D&D with her, I chose a glamour bard because I was like, I just want to be like David Bowie, but something that would
Thank you. Yeah, you have no idea.
Thank you so much.
Hi. So I'm actually asking this for a friend. You may have addressed this previously, but do you need like an agent when pursuing voice acting, or something related to that, to where like, I know it's freelance, you know, for the most part, but would it help to have an agent?
It absolutely helps. Eventually, you want one, but even when you have one, you still have to hustle. You gotta find the work, chase down the work yourself, and that's what you gotta do when you're starting out anyway.
Is it required? No, but it definitely does help.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Yori, and has there ever been a take that you say you're doing a take and you thought and you just thought you hated and you just sorry, my English is not good. You did a vocal take, you did not think it's good, but it ended up in the final product somehow?
All the time. We are our own worst critics.
Any examples?
I have a specific one in Overwatch. Well, I don't hate it, but for me, I think it's embarrassing because, well, I mean, you can hear that I'm Swedish in that line, and I think Brigitte says, I know.
We knew you were.
That's why the accent sounds fake.
She says something and then she says, she says practice makes perfect, not to mention some bumps and bruises. But in the game I say bumps and bruises, or like it just sounds weird, and I'm like saying like something like let's go, everyone squared away, but it sounds like everyone squared away, like it just sounds like I was 5 or something. I hear those, like every time I hear them I'm like, oh no, why, you know. But I mean, I hope other people don't think about it, but I just think it sounds awkward.
Right. Thank you.
There's a lot of stuff where, like, if we've done if I do a take that I'm like, oh, I don't like that, I will ask. I'll be like, can you just humor me and let me do another take? They may use the one that I hated, but as long as I get to do one where I feel okay with it, I'm fine.
Alright, hi. My name.
Because it's 12:45.
Okay, hi. My name is Nick. Super quick fan question. If you can't think of one on the fly, it's fine. If there was any one character you could give your spin on, or one franchise you could play a role in, what would it be?
Karin Kanzuki.
I want to play Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn. That's a favorite character. I mean, I don't want to take it from the current voice actors, but something like that.
I was gonna say I would love to be like a robot master in like the next Mega Man game or something. I love Mega Man. Mega Man 11 is gonna be cool. Buy it soon. It's good.
I want to play the next Nathan Drake. Like, I don't want to take Nolan North's job, and I want to do the next version of that.
It's not a video game character, but I'd love to play Harley one day.
For games, Dizzy from Guilty Gear. For everything else, Jolene Cujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Thank you so much.
Next one. Hello, my name's Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
I was just wondering, was there ever a specific moment or event where you were like, acting is what I need to do, this is what I want to do?
When I was a kid and I used to watch a lot of movies, and when I saw, I don't know, like I'm trying to remember everything, when I watched a lot of movies when I was a kid, and when I watched cartoons as a kid, particularly Gargoyles, because Gargoyles was an amazing show.
I think for me, it's always just been, my parents are actors, and my dad is a theater actor, so I've always like had it, like I've always known that I wanted to do something like this.
You were born into it.
Yeah, it's always been my passion. I like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lot of things, but actor was always on the list. And as I grew up, like astronaut and firefighter fell off, and actor stayed.
when I was in high school, friends had me play Soul Calibur 2 with them, and at that point I kind of realized that, oh, people like do the voices for this stuff. I want to do that.
For me, I remember exactly what it was. It was hearing the amazing pioneer of anime, Justin Cook, as Yusuke in Yu Yu Hakusho, and I was like, that's awesome. Maybe I could do that someday. And then I was in like middle school, and then now here I am. How did I get here? Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Ethan. And when it comes to like doing pain runs and like death cries and stuff, are there any like awkward and embarrassing moments where you just like always yeah.
Always. It always sounds way dirtier than it's supposed to.
If any of you have seen the Twitch streams that Kira and I did for Nier. Yeah, during that was the last one. That was during the final, like the lead up to the very end of the game. We just started doing anime grunts and realized very quickly we should not just make those noises unprompted.
Especially as 2B and 9S.
Yeah. Not so much battle grunts, but like in battle prompts, like, you know, like take this, like, you know, whatever. Anytime, ever, no matter what it is, anything. If I see the 3 words, it's no use, in every single time it has to be, it's no use! Every time, if you get it, you're a cool person. I have
My favorite is when they play Japanese reference and you hear Muda Muda, and then I have to not get
Oh god, I forgot the question.
Awkward moments with battle grunts.
Yes, the death screams when the Overwatch heroes fall off a cliff. I had to redo those a lot because I kept doing them too short because I thought it was so awkward. Because you need to do like, you know, and then they're like, can you do it a bit longer? And you're like, okay, and you're just sitting in a tiny studio. You're not falling off a cliff, obviously. And you're like trying to get into the zone of like falling off a cliff, but I have no idea what that's like. So just, we had to redo those a bunch. Hi.
Hi, Landa, you once spoke at you had an experience where a fan dressed as Annie actually crafted a ring that had a switch out mutilation spike. What are some of your experiences with fans that were a bit off-putting or just very, very funny?
For the camera, Lauren.
I'm sorry, you said Landa? My name's Lauren. Sorry, that's why I got confused. I was like, who are you talking to?
I wasn't sure to use your first name or last name.
Oh, please, use my first name. What was the question?
Awkward
fan experiences.
Oh, with anything I'm sorry, the mic is awful feedback. So what was it, like, just that in general? Awkward fan experiences. You know, I don't really let anything awkward get to me anymore. Nothing shocks me anymore. And if someone's inappropriate, I call them out on it. I'm not afraid
That's not a challenge, by the way.
So having someone craft and show you a self-mutilation ring kind of desensitized you a bit?
What?
I've been desensitized to all the weird things.
You know what? Maybe in a bit because people are awful. Maybe a bit. I mean, like
You guys, of course.
I play a lot of characters that are well endowed. I'll just put it to you that way. And so, you know, I'm kind of used to it at this point. I mean, but like I said, in all seriousness, if it ever gets to a point where I am uncomfortable, I will gladly tell the person because they should know that it's inappropriate. Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. No more people getting in line, guys. We are done with the panel, so come on up, come on up.
Just getting through the people who are already in line.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. And
Hi, Caitlin.
I want to say, Lauren, you inspired me with Karen from Street Fighter to work on my laugh.
Oh, can you do it? Oh! That's awesome! I'm in trouble. So that's awesome. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask, what are some things you guys do to get into character?
Mentally, I just have to kind of go into what the character, you know, like into that mental state that the character might be in. So,
if it's a character voice that's not just my own, sometimes I will sing in character on the way to the studio when I'm driving. Not often, but just
I want to hear that. I think most of all, like being a voice actor, you have to have imagination. So, like getting into the character for me is not like doing anything specific. It's just like trying to like get in the zone and like So I close my eyes, or like when I'm in the studio and I'm supposed to say like enemy to the left, I do like enemy to the left, enemy to the left. You know, you need to like feel like you're there and talking to the people. You look like an idiot, but it's worth it in the end, I hope.
In terms of getting into voice, if it's something that's kind of far off from where your voice normally sits, it can help, like if you're going in for a character you played before, to maybe have a couple go-to lines as reference. Like when I was playing Lyria in Grand Blue Fantasy, her voice was a lot higher and breathier than mine. So, you know, on the way to like the session, I would be like, "Thank you, Gran," and like just, you know, practice that little thing.
Physicality is very important. I was gonna piggyback off of that. I even had a, and yeah, you do look like an idiot sometimes. I had a session last week for a video game where my character like discovered something weird about his belly button or something, and so I looked down and lifted up my shirt as I was doing the line. And the director's looking at me through the glass. He's like, "You know, you don't have to do that, right?" I know, I'm acting, all right? Leave me alone.
Thankfully, they're never filming us.
Hello, how you doing? My name is BJ. A quick question, is any, well, this one in particular, any one voice actor that, you know, I guess it's inspired you to be where you are today?
Jim Cummings.
Jim Cummings. Jim Cummings.
D. Bradley Baker in my adulthood I've grown to massively appreciate. He is a genius. He was all the animals on Avatar and like a bunch of other characters too.
One woman that I've always talked about who inspires me from day one is actually here, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. So
I'm gonna be cheesy and say my parents, but they inspire me a lot.
Dude, she was telling me in the elevator, her mom was the Swedish voice of Sailor Mercury. Like, so cool.
And he's a friend of ours, but Ben Diskin really inspires me a lot. He's so cool. I love it.
One of the nicest people in the world also.
And another person who's here, Ray Chase. I find him very inspirational.
I know another example. These guys.
Too many to list, but I do get to work regularly with someone who inspired me early on, and that's Wendy Lee. I first heard her in Cowboy Bebop, and I was really inspired by her, and now she directs me on a lot of projects. Thank you.
Final question, make it a good one.
Hello, I play Overwatch and I watched Yu Yu Hockey Show. It was one of my childhood shows. I love Brigitte in Overwatch. She can be a bit annoying at times, but I love her all the same, and I mainly Reinhardt. The second main is Brigitte, third main is Reaper. I just wanted to know, what was the hardest time of voicing Brigitte?
I think, since I said we had like a late night session, so sometimes I remember that I was having a really hard week at work, and I still had to go and give it my all in the session room. And I remember that was really difficult because I worked full time at the time, and we had a lot of people sick at my office, so I was alone doing the work that 3 people should do. And I remember that just like the challenge of like being this cheery person who's positive about everything when you're just like, I want to go home and eat ice cream and cry. Like that's all I want to do. So I remember that being very challenging, but I mean, it also helps doing a character like Brigitte because she's so cheery and she makes you so happy when you do her. It's like, she's, her attitude is perfect when you're doing a game for the first time. Like, I really needed her positivity. So I mean, that kind of got me through, but I remember it was really challenging doing the late night sessions and just when you want to go home and cry. Being like, I am Brigitte, you know, like it's really difficult.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
One more thing. Would y'all mind if I snapped a quick picture so I could check?
Do it quick.
Do it quick. Oh, come on, Falke.
Also, thank you everybody for joining us. You're all awesome.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Doing autographs at 1:15. Who else here is doing autographs at 1:15?
But I might be at my table, which is in that area, so please come by and say hi.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a signing at 1:15. Yeah.
And for any of you who are 18 and over, there's a Cards Against Humanity panel tonight. So please come line up fast because that's probably going to be at capacity.
And just saying, for no specific reason, you should totally come to the Viz Media panel at 2 p.m.
Yeah, we might be.
We might be
there.
There might be some really cool thing being announced there. You should go. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Follow us on Twitter at Herbiford, at Renachan, at Kyle McCarley, at Smedius, and at Lauren Landa, right? Lauren A. Landa. Damn it, close. Thanks, everybody.